Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome our many guests and panelists who are joining us, as well as our wonderful team of Saskatoon Media Group advertising consultants. My name is Tim Kostyuk, and I'm the General Sales Manager of Saskatoon Media Group, which includes CJWW, 98 Cool, and 92.9 The Bull. Some of you were with us back in November when we launched this amazing partnership with Vendasta, and some of you are joining us for the first time, which is great. We really appreciate your time and have a wonderful presentation coming up. I see our registrations are from all over Saskatchewan and maybe one or two beyond borders, so we're very grateful. As you noticed on the sign-up page, we'll be making a draw for a radio advertising package to the tune of $2,500 to help get your business noticed and some exposure coming into these summer months. Our winner will be notified by me within the hour or so after the completion of this webinar. So exciting presentation coming up. Our panelists include George Lath, Executive Vice President of Sales and Conquer Local Podcast Creator, Mike Vossen, Digital Advertising Product Expert, and Nick Padilla, International Partner Growth Manager at Vendasta. And towards the conclusion, you'll meet Leanna Keys, our Digital Service Coordinator here at Saskatoon Media Group. So with that, I'm going to call up Craig Taylor, Senior Partner Development Manager for Vendasta. Craig.
Thanks so much, Tim. Really excited, everyone, to be able to share some thoughts around, the way we look at digital and the way that things really are moving right now. We've got some, like Tim said, some really exciting things to talk about for today. I'm going to start on the ground level as I talk a little bit about your online presence and what that looks like in general here. So let's dive right in. One of the first things that I want to mention here is that what we've seen from small, medium-sized businesses over time is that the preference is working with one trusted provider or best-of-breed specialist, and that's certainly something that at Saskatoon Media Group we're looking to do. Let's talk a little bit about the environment that's out there right now. It's not just in marketing, but there's a lot of change that's been happening very recently and in some of the recent years as well. We can think a little bit about that disruption and what's been happening with that change. You can think of, a taxi moving much more towards Uber, Hilton and traditional hotels that have moved towards Airbnb and the convenience and the ease of doing something like that. Some of the things like magazines and where you might get content before is now primarily on Facebook and Instagram where people are absorbing that and sharing that and looking at it. And then, something like our old friend Blockbuster, which is certainly something that I used to frequent quite a bit. And now that time is being spent with Netflix and, the dozens of different streaming services that are out there as well. So we're living through a lot of these changes. We've seen them happen over the years, and the reason that I bring up some of that as well is because of the marketing landscape too. So when we think about the change from a marketing perspective, you can just see from here the amount of solutions that are out there from a marketing perspective and what that looks like. It can be immense. And, some of the ways that marketing is changing here as well is, just in the way that those marketing dollars are being spent, advertising is staying a little bit flat, but then things like promotions and marketing services that are being provided, those are some of the things that are growing right now. So there's definitely some change there. But really, when we boil it down to, how has marketing changed? Well, we can view it as changing because of the device. And, there might even be some people here that are on the webinar that are using their phone to do that. because it's tied to us, and it's the way that people are interacting now is through a mobile device. And that's really changed the landscape when it comes to marketing as well. And how that affects that change is because it allows consumers to make buying decisions online. And we see that more and more as people have been, and starting to open up now, but have been stuck at home during the pandemic, that there's traffic online and they're doing that. But even before that, it was trending in that direction, where that research, people were doing research to be able to make those decisions before they make a purchase. And so whether that purchase was in a local store somewhere or it was online or whatever that was, a lot of those buying decisions were being made online. There's lots of ways that people are being driven online to make those decisions, do the research that's necessary there as well. And what we want to think about, and something that I really want everyone on this webinar to think about as we move through the different topics, what are you doing to stand out from your competition? What are you doing to be found in these different ways here? So I really want to make sure that you're thinking about some of those things and making sure that you can stand out in the best way. So what this boils down to, and the main part that I want to discuss today, is the customer journey. So these channels of the customer journey, we're going to go through them and talk a little bit about each of them. You can see here the way that someone interacts with the business right now, moving through awareness, findability, reputation, conversion, these different steps. Those are the way that consumers are looking to interact with businesses and looking to make those buying decisions, as I just looked at it as well. So what are these steps that we see in the customer journey right now? The first piece, and something that I think a lot of businesses have a good understanding around, is awareness. And when we think about awareness, this might be tied to advertising as the way that we see it. But really what it is, your awareness, this is how you're getting out. This is who we are and this is what we do, which are really important pieces of information to get out there. And the way that you do that, there's so many different ways, whether it's digital, whether it's traditional, whether it's a radio ad that's really driving frequency and attention that's there. There's lots of ways that you can drive that awareness. What we're seeing with awareness, though, is this is where someone can really be driven online. So they gain that awareness, and then they start to do the research that's there too. So that leads to the second portion of the customer journey that we look at, something that we call findability. But when you really think about it here, how are you standing out so that when someone hears an ad about something, then they do that research online, how are they going to find your business? And it could be that they're searching directly for your business if you've got some great advertising. It could be that someone has a need that's out there, like maybe it's an emergency plumber that they need to get a hold of. So if I were to search for emergency plumber, is your plumbing business going to show up? That's what I want to think about with findability. It's that first step. Now, primarily where we're seeing this step happen is on Google. So I think it's really important to think about how Google plays a part in that. But where this findability could also come into play is things like voice search, saying, is this business open, or what's the best restaurant near me, or what are the hours that are out there? So you're being found on voice search and some of those pieces too. Then as we look at something like your reputation, that's how people are perceiving you online. And more importantly than being perceived online, this is where people are making the choice to convert with your business. So when we think about reputation, we think about things like online reviews. It might be a Facebook post that's out there. There's lots of different pieces that could be that reputation piece. But if someone is reading an online review about your business, are they going to be left with the best possible impression, the best chance to convert with you? That's what we want to think about in that case. And you know, what are people reading and what are they seeing? How are you being chosen? Something we're going to talk about, you know, today as we go through is the conversion point. So how is someone transacting with you? How is that final sale coming through? What's that experience like? Is your website mobile friendly? Is it easy to move through? Are you owning that path to conversion right now as they move through? What's your experience for your customer like there? And advocacy is the last portion of this journey that we have. And advocacy is really important as well, because this is that post-sale component. So after someone's made a sale, what's going to bring them back? And this can create a cycle as someone leaves a review for you after having a great experience. As someone writes a Facebook post about the great experience that they had there. They mention you in a blog that they're writing. There's all these different ways that this advocacy piece can come here. And how are you you know, cultivating a list of your customers so that you can keep engaged with them through email? You know, what are those steps that you're doing to make sure that they're coming back and that they become a loyal customer of yours? So when we think about this customer journey and what it looks like here, as that customer moves through, let's go through these steps one more time. There's something that sparks some awareness that drives someone online, because whether it's an identified need or not, they're being driven online. Once they're online, how are they choosing your business compared to the competition? Once they've decided to go with your business, how are they converting? Are they going to your physical location? Are they going to your website? What does that look like? And then what's the advocacy after that point as well? How are you cultivating that? How are you following up with those loyal customers that are there too? What's really important about the customer journey is you want to win in each stage. Let's use a little scenario here. So let's say there's two businesses. I used the example of a plumber earlier. So I hear a radio ad for a plumber that's there. And I think, yeah, you know what? I do have this job that I've been looking to do for ages. I'm finishing my basement. I'm looking to get some, you know, a sink put in there. So I start to move down this path. I search for best plumber for sink installation. I start to do some searches that are there. And I see the business A who was running the radio ad. I see them on there. But I also see business B. And what I see with business B is that they actually have way better reviews. Business A only has a 3.5 star rating. There's a lot of negative reviews from last week. Business B has a 4.5 star rating. They're responding to reviews and it looks really good. So I end up going with business B. Did some research. That looks like the experience I want to have is a 4.5 star rating. So I go with them. If we really think about what just happened there, although I was driven online by the radio ads of business A, I ended up converting with the competition because they had better reviews and their online presence was a better experience for me. So that the marketing dollars for business A actually went towards a conversion for business B. Something to think about, that you need to have each one of these levels really buttoned up. And that leads to something that we like to look at here as well, which is our new marketing stack. You know, it used to be that maybe you take out an ad or you do some advertising and that's enough. But really, you need to take care of all of these areas to make sure that you've got that entire journey solidified. That's my portion for today. The customer journey, really, really important. Building the foundation that's there so that your online presence is shining and that people are going to have a good experience.